Hi, sir, viewers of Equinoxe Television, 6 p.m. past 6 o'clock. It's time for the news. Thank you so much for being with us. I'm just right away. Those who live in the southwest and northwest regions are going through trauma, fear, frustration, and living in total uncertainty following the war in those regions. A recent report from the UN carried out in Mamfe, precisely in Equinoxe, says inhabitants of the northwest and southwest regions are in need of a thorough and frequent psychological follow-up so as to reduce the mental effect of the war on them. We will be bringing to you details of that report in this edition of the news. Plus, over 25 persons died in an accident which happened in neighboring Nigeria that was last evening. The victims, more than 50 of them, were jam-packed in a truck when the unfortunate incident happened. Most of them lost their lives. Viewers, those are our major stories. Details when we come back. Welcome back, viewers. Thank you so much for the confidence. We begin with this in this edition of the news with these elements from the northwest and southwest regions. A UN and inter-cluster joint mission including the UN High Commission for Refugees, United Nations Inter-Pacific Association, International Organization for Migration, and the World Food Programme, organized by the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, UCHA, recently visited Mamfe in the southwest region of Cameroon to meet victims of the Equinoxe massacre and key stakeholders. The joint mission, after their two-day visit, published a protection cluster report highlighting trauma, fear, displacement, homelessness, malnutrition, and many others as sufferings endured by victims of that massacre. Innocent as I read through that report and now gives us the details.
The joint mission, while in Mamfe, saw a frightened Equinoxe people who have received constant threats from armed separatists to strike again. As a result, fear-induced displacement from Equinoxe to several areas within Mamfe. Some communities even reject more IDPs. Most families have also lost their properties and are now homeless. Families whose houses were destroyed are said to be living in collective shelters provided by the community, where they are exposed to health and hygiene-related risks due to overcrowding and malnutrition. The Protection Cluster report also reveals that the Equinoxe massacre had a serious psychological impact on people who experienced enormous loss and grief, from which they developed trauma and anxiety. Majority reported sleeping difficulties with recurrent nightmares of the incident. A good number of them are thus in need of mental health support and psychological services, especially children who lost their parents. Another revelation was the loss of important documents by the victims whose houses were burnt. Some got missing during displacement. This is likely to hamper the access of IDPs to basic services, including freedom of movement and health. The joint mission as well documented reported incidents of rape among victims and possible occurrences of further gender-based violence, as displaced persons are forced to sleep in collective shelter and homes of persons they barely know. Scores of children, according to the joint mission, need protection. These are children who lost their parents and facing challenges in their new settlement. Their education has now been disrupted. The joint mission, organized by OCHA, calls on government authorities to intervene.
And now we continue talking about violence on women in Africa. Cameroon, to be more precise, recently a lady was beaten to death by her husband here in the economic capital, Douala. She reportedly tried getting assistance from outside her home to no avail. Now, what about assistance to persons who are in danger? Today, most people sit in their comfort zones while those around them are in distress or going through domestic violence. A legal mind, Barrister Remind, warns that this act is punishable by the Cameroonian law, as Lucy Liengu Asia tells us in the report which comes up next.
Domestic violence remains a major preoccupation in Cameroon. The most recent case is that of Diane Yongwo, who was brutally beaten to death by her husband in the city of Douala. This has raised concerns about the silence of many who fail to assist victims. A legal mind, Barrister Remain Amugu, says the Cameroon law punishes all those who fail to assist a person in danger.
The Penal Code in its section 283 clearly states that whoever fails to assist a person in danger of death or grievous harm shall be punished with an imprisonment term 1 month to 3 years, or with a fine of 20,000 to 1 million.
She reiterates the importance of assisting each other, especially those in distress.
It is unlawful to sit in the confines of our homes and care less about what's happening in our neighborhood. Whatever takes place in our neighborhood is our concern by virtue of that section of the law.
She warns all those who go about taking images of those being molested in streets, calling on them to be conscious.
Those who go about taking out their phones, filming scenes, rather than reporting them, rather than going in to assist, they should be informed that whatever happens to that person in danger, the law will not smile at them if this person suffers any grievous harm or dies.
Everyone is therefore encouraged to play a role in saving lives.
And now in health, Cameroonians have expressed fear over the efficiency of the new Mosquirix vaccine that arrived Cameroon recently and was received by the Minister for Public Health, Dr. Malaria. According to them, they are not ready to get their kids vaccinated. A malaria specialist, Professor Leopold Gustave, urges the Ministry of Public Health to carry out clinical trials before officially launching the vaccination campaign against malaria. Immaculate Fogwe is a lady on that beat.
The risk of contracting malaria in Cameroon is very high. Despite efforts made by the Ministry of Public Health to contain its spread, malaria remains an endemic disease with 11,000 deaths registered annually. Following the arrival of 331,200 doses of the Mosquirix malaria vaccine, experts expressed concerns about its efficacy.
The vaccine is something new. Yes, this vaccine has been developed 87, and they started clinical trials by 2019, and all of those trials we can have a summary of the work saying that we have about 68% efficacy.
The vaccines, which will be administered on children aged 6 to 24 months old, is expected to help protect them against the parasite. However, parents say they are not convinced about its efficiency.
Honestly, I doubt. Since Cameroon is the first African country that has it, for me, I'm really scared. Honestly, I'm really scared. They should give us assurance of such vaccine. I don't know what the outcome after the vaccine.
Experts urge authorities to take extra precautions before officially administering the vaccines on children.
I don't really know what they did before deciding, because it's a serious, crucial decision. But I hope so. I really hope measures were taken to verify, to be sure that these vaccines are not dangerous for them.
The vaccination initiative will be entirely free for all children falling under the targeted age group. The vaccine, qualified by scientists as a world changer, is said to be highly effective, more than the first ever approved RTSS vaccines.
In other news, we take you now to the far north region. Inhabitants of Mayo Muskota in the far north of Cameroon have urged the government to step up security measures in a bid to deal with Boko Haram militant attacks. Several villages have been deserted because of insecurity in Mayo Muskota. Babila Jonathan has the details.
Occupants of these houses have fled for safety. They have deserted 30 villages out of 60 that make up Muskota and Mozogo in the Mayo Muskota subdivision, Mayo Chanaga division, far north region of Cameroon.
Dans le canton de Muskota, sur 31 villages, il n'y a que 2 villages qui respirent un peu.
Even in other parts of Mayo Muskota, they are living in fear and uncertainty because of terrorist attacks.
Nous vivons au quotidien des menaces. Donc la nuit on ne peut pas dormir parce que Boko Haram est là à tout moment.
On souffre beaucoup ici. Nous on dort dans les champs, dans les montagnes. On n'arrive même pas à faire le champ parce que du fait qu'ils ont occupé toute la brousse, nous on dormait dans les champs en cachette.
Vigilante committees have been created to keep watch over the communities in a bid to help security and defense forces in the fight against the terrorists. During his Meet the People tour of Mayo Muskota, the senior division officer of the Mayo Chanaka division was urged by inhabitants to plead with the central administration to increase the number of soldiers deployed to the area and security posts to check sporadic incursions of Boko Haram militants. Besides killings and kidnapping by terrorists, looting and banditry are other challenges weighing down on inhabitants of Mayo Muskota. The senior division officer of the Mayo Chanaka division, Tamdikin Risha, reassured the people of government's drive to protect them and fast-track socio-economic development of the area through the presidential plan for the reconstruction and development of the entire far north and other economically stricken regions of the country.
Now to the southwest and also to the east region. Over 300 candidates who took part in a recruitment of Rapid Intervention Battalion soldiers have been selected in the east region. The over 700 candidates who registered went through thorough exercise and medical checkups. Meantime, in the southwest region, the B soldiers in Limbe celebrated the Remembrance Day to pay homage to their fallen colleagues. Smart Njikan Gabriel is on that beat.
There were many people who lined up on the street to cheer the 994 candidates who are vying to be recruited into the Rapid Intervention Battalion Force and as the Presidential Guards in the East region. After doing a race covering a distance of 200 kilometers with bags of sand weighing 20 kilograms on their head, 400 candidates were pre-selected for the final test. It's my elder brother who encouraged me to come for the examination. I tried before but didn't succeed, but this year I'm first and I respected all his advice. Putting on number 400, this candidate was the luckiest to be amongst the last people who were pre-selected. I'm so happy being amongst the selected people. If I wasn't courageous, I wouldn't have been able to make it. Those who were not chosen will try their luck another year. The exercise to select these candidates was done within 4 days by the commission put in place. People who were not medically fit with health issues were automatically eliminated alongside those who didn't make it in the sporting discipline. Over at the Manowo Bay in Limbe, Fako division of the Southwest region, elements of the Rapid Intervention Battalion Force have commemorated the Remembrance Day. It was a day set aside by the soldiers to remember and pray for their colleagues who fell on the battlefield.
We have tried to remember our fallen soldier to make this day become a special day for them, to show them that we don't forget them, we don't forget their family, their son, and we don't forget that they give their blood, they give their energy for this country.
The Remembrance Day was marked by a church service and sporting activities.
Over 1.7 million people between the ages of 3 to 15 do not possess a birth certificate in Cameroon, and among the underlying causes is parental negligence and also security crisis in some parts of the country. And as a means to resolve this problem, the Douala 4 Council issued some birth certificates, computerized birth certificates to those in need in Bonaberry. Details with Cedric Chakutu.
Statistics given by the National Civil Statutes, there are 1.7 million people, thus 66% of them, with an age rate varying between 3 to 15 years old, who do not have a birth certificate in Cameroon. Among the underlying cases are parental negligence, births out of marriage, and the security crisis affecting the regions of the country. To help remedy this problem, the Douala 4 Council did free computerized birth certificates for over 500 children from across the country.
When you have a child, you give him a name. The name allows you to integrate the child within your family. But beyond that family, the child is nothing if he's not integrated in the Republic. And for him to be integrated in the Republic, you have to have a birth certificate. That will allow him to benefit of all the facilities the Republic put in place to develop our country and to promote our children.
Victims of the crisis and inhabitants of the locality are grateful and are happy that they will be recognized by the state of Cameroon.
Je suis très contente car ils viennent de recevoir mon premier diplôme, qui est mon acte de naissance. Et je remercie beaucoup le maire de Douala 4e.
I'm from Mamfe division. Because of the crisis, we have to move from that area to Limbe and Douala. Because over there, it's a total chaos, as you all understand. We have suffered a lot for documentation, and this is like a help from God, because it's going to ease us, those who have difficulties in having documents like ID card, like birth certificate for our children. So we thank the mayor for this very good step taking.
After these efforts made by the Douala 4 Council, the inhabitants and parents of other localities called on the help of the government for this act to be perpetrated to other councils in the country.
And now we take you out of our national frontiers. Over 25 persons have reportedly died in a road accident which happened in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That was last evening. That accident happened when all of the victims were jam-packed on a truck. And now over to Ethiopia, at least 50 persons are said to have died following hunger caused by drought. Let's now have more on our foreign page roundup with Malaria.
A truck overloaded with food items and more than 200 passengers crashed in north-central Nigeria's Niger State, killing 25 people and injuring dozens others. The Nigerian Safety Agency said the truck was on its way to Lagos, Nigeria's economic capital city, on Tuesday when it crashed in Takalafia village. The 25 victims have been taken to a nearby mortuary while the injured passengers are receiving treatment in the hospital. Nigerian President Bola Tinubu mourned the victims and urged commuters to drive safely, especially as the festive season approaches. At least 130 people have died in Ethiopia, Kenya and Somalia following heavy rains that led to flooding in the countries. According to aid agencies, such flooding occurs once every 100 years. Somalia bore the brunt of floods that inundated the Horn of Africa. The National Disaster Management Agency said 51 people have been killed across the country and 500,000 displaced. Since the rain started in October, emergency workers feared the death toll could rise. The country remains cut off and inaccessible after roads and bridges were washed away.
And viewers, that was what we gathered for you this evening. Thank you so much for always being with us. But don't go away, our programs continue. Equinoxe comes up at 7 p.m. and the news in the French language comes up at 8 p.m. Stay with us on Equinoxe Television. Bye-bye for now.